And welcome to another edition of the Best Three Podcast. I'm still Alvin. That's still Torrey. TH,
What up,
it's
what up?
last week of July, my man. How are you feeling out there?
I'm doing good, Alvin. I'm doing good. I had to refresh my background screen, Alvin. It's a new season, hardcore season. Back, a lot of these events are at least on, I'll say, North America. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And here on the state side. So happy to have the players back this side. It's funny to I've been watching a little bit of the Mubadala DC Open and
Mubadala.
City Open, and it's been. I had to research that earlier today. By the way, I had to find out who that was and kind of apprise myself. I know you were just there. How was your
Yep.
trip?
The trip was good. Got 2 days on site. It's always refreshing for me as a tennis fan, tennis enthusiast, tennis practitioner to be amongst the people. The people
Yeah.
being like not just the fans, the players. Got some time to speak with some other people who cover tennis.
Mm.
So that was good. Shout out to Anastasia from Ground Pass. Her and I keep in contact, so we were able to get together and talk a little bit while we were there. And I ran into Jill Krabus.
Jill, my girl.
Yeah, Jill's
Yeah.
she's working. She wants to come on the pod sometime. I used
Awesome.
to work with Jill back in the day.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Same. When we
Yeah.
were at UTA way back in the day, Miss Krabus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but yeah, I haven't seen her in some years, and I ran into
Yeah.
her like 10 minutes after I got on site. So like that's like I feel like tennis tournaments are almost for those who have worked
Oh,
in tennis and around tennis. It's almost like homecoming. Like you run
yeah,
into people.
exactly.
So
A
that's
reunion for sure.
yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool. So that was good. Also just getting to see the players kind of like up close and personal, right? And I know we'll get to the DC experience,
Yeah.
the on-site experience a little bit later as we progress through today's conversation. But I was really excited too. I took a lot of feverish notes, and I had to stop myself and just like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk to Tori about it. We're gonna talk our way through this because the Venus Williams experience
Mm.
it's over right now. So we're recording on Friday
Friday.
afternoon.
Yep.
She lost last night to Magdalena
Freck. Yep.
Freck. Sorry.
Yep.
But she lost doubles the day prior. Taylor Townsend and I forgot who's Taylor playing with, Asian woman. Anyways, yeah. So, but she did win one doubles match with Haley Baptiste, and then she did win a singles match against Peyton Stearns, right? And
Yep.
so that's I want to kind of start there, and then kind of work our way forward. So obviously, Venus gets the wild card in the tournament, right? It's widely. I mean, I think every broadcast that was covering the Venus Williams in DC was talking about her age, right? It just came up
Right.
over and over. Venus Williams, 45 years old, oldest woman ever,
Sure.
blah 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 blah,
Sure.
and that's all good and fine, right? So, but when I watched the match against
Zhang, by the way.
Thank you,
Yeah.
fantastic,
Zhang.
fantastic doubles player in her own right.
Yeah.
But when I watched the match against Peyton, right? So I watched that one. I was still at home. I watched
Yeah.
that one on television.
Yeah.
And I was texting some friends, and I'm like, I don't understand why we are in the year 2025 still pinning our hopes and our coverage and all this energy around a woman who is more or less retired from tennis, but is playing. Like I was very dismissive of the idea and a little upset with tennis, the state of tennis right now. If we don't have enough personalities and enough players that we deem as stars to,
Right.
push forward that so much that someone who's so far past her prime is essentially the face of this
Garnering all
tournament.
that attention.
I'm like, what are we
Sure.
doing? Like,
Sure.
what are we doing? And then, because I'm sadistic, I found I had to watch the match. Like,
Yeah.
fine. I'm not doing anything else. I'll watch this match. And from warm-ups,
Yeah.
I'm looking at Peyton, and I'm like, Peyton looks like she's been shot. Like, her face was just, she was in a very weird space.
You're playing one of the girls, one of your idols who you grew up playing and grew up watching on TV. And, and maybe even for Peyton, I mean, some of her earliest tennis memories may have included Venus, obviously, and Serena. And I saw some of the comments, and one of the things, Venus was 3 in the world when Peyton was born. You know what I mean? So you can imagine the respect, and that I don't want to steal your thunder. Keep going.
No, but then, I mean that kind of gets to my point though, right? Yeah. So there's a good 22. I think Peyton's 23 years old, so a good 22-year difference there.
Yep.
Almost double her age, right? But
Yep.
to that point, let's take the tennis out of it, right? Peyton looked like she could not play tennis in that match. Like she was very, arrested, if you will.
Sure.
And as you're watching it, it's like Venus can barely move. Like, yeah, she can still serve. Like, I mean, dropping bombs, right? She can, if you let her, she can still rip a forehand, like still rip a backhand, win set in position. But
that backhand was all day the other night. Why Peyton was going to the backhand was my first question. But keep going. Before you get there, I do have to interject one thing.
Please do.
You said she can't move compared to a Venus Williams who was 25. I think you have to qualify that statement in that sense, or to the average, if you will, top 20, if you will, WTA player today. I coach 45-year-old women, Alvin. I would absolutely kill to have a Venus.
Right, but that's my point.
She looked phenomenal for 45.
In that, it's not the point. That is my point. Like, yeah, she looks great for 45, but she does not look great for a professional tennis player. Like that's my point. There were women in qualifying who were better than her. I see her come out of the corners. I was like, oh yeah, I'm 42. I get it. Wait, am I 42? I am 42. Yeah, I understand. And I'm not 6 foot tall, right? So I can move with the best of them for my age, right? Getting out of the corners it's a sticky situation. I'm not playing against Peyton Stearns. So I get you, and that's also my point, right? Under normal circumstances, and I caveat that with saying normal circumstances, and when I'll get to why I consider these very abnormal circumstances in a moment. Under normal circumstances, Peyton should dog walk Venus Williams. Dog walk. She did not. She couldn't even walk herself. So that was on, I don't remember what night that was, but fast forward, maybe the next day, I think was Monday. Okay, so 2 days, maybe a day later, 2 days later, I was on site, and the Venus Williams experience in person in Washington, D.C., like Chocolate City, it is. I was like, oh, now I see why Peyton couldn't move. Like
Tuesday night. Yeah.
It was Tuesday. Okay, so the very next day I was there, and I saw part of the doubles match that they ended up losing. But I was like, oh, now I get it. Like the crowd's there. So like it's like Atlanta, but it's a very black city. And black tennis is, Arthur Ashe helped build that facility, and Howard is Howard's right down the street?
Yep.
Howard University is right down the street.
Yep. The Bison.
Yep, exactly. I went right past the campus on my way up to the park on Thursday morning. So it's different, and it felt different. And the crowds for a women's doubles match on the second court were insane. Like it was insane. The line to get in on the match prior was insane. I mean, and then when you put all that together, I go, okay, yeah, she didn't really have a chance. Like I mean, I can imagine as an American, a young American, you would never dream that you would be not a crowd favorite in a tournament on American soil.
But you're playing another American who just happens to be Venus Williams in her 7. Was it 7? I think she won 7 Grand Slams back in her day. Alvin, I know what you're saying. My take was very different and very. It's a tangent.
What do you mean?
When 45 years old can still hang.
Sure.
It shows you how good 45 was 20 years ago. We're seeing this same conversation with Novak now. He is not as fast as he was back then. We all know that. You've asked a question. You've posited, why is he still playing? Why didn't he just retire? I would hate to see him go out like I saw. You mentioned the Hubie Hurkacz match with Fed and so on and so on. I've heard that from you a time or two. I made the comment about Pete leaving in '02 when he was done, right, when he won his last one, and kind of teased he might come back, only to a year later, no one seen nor heard
Yep.
of me. He's, oh, by the way, I'm retired, which I thought was a very smart move. I saw the '02 match, and he almost got beat by Rusetsky in the round of 16.
Right. Yeah. That's a whole nother episode of its own right there.
A whole nother talk show, right? But I say it to say, Venus, to me, in that match the other day, showed why she's still relevant with her level. Not the tournament, not for tennis, but she gave us a throwback performance of what she was. And Alvin, if anybody, not just both of us being Black people, Black tennis fans, obviously appreciative of everything that the Williams sisters, in particular Venus, who was first, have given us and the platform that they've given us. What I would tell you is it was just good to see her not only win, but also to be reminded of how good she was then, and how just to say, you know what, I know I'm 45, but I just want to dip my toe in the water just to kind of see what it was like again. And I'll be honest, I felt bad for Peyton, because I think Peyton was expecting a 45-year-old. I don't think she was expecting a former Grand Slam champ who just happens to be 45. No, not unlike Novak, when he's played some of these other matches against some of these outside of the top 10 types. Novak can look pretty clean, Alvin. He can look pretty Novak-ish a lot.
Yeah,
and then he plays against, a center, as he's done the last couple of tournaments, and then he looks a little more aged. But make no mistake, with most people outside of the top 5, let alone top 10, Novak, save for that little spurt he had early in the year where he was kind of had a little bit of a
right,
had a little bump in the road. But Alvin, that's my point. Don't think that he still can't play tennis. And that was my tangent, was we should almost put former Slam champions in their own UTR, because you can't base it off UTR, off of past matches. It's a level, it's and a rating, but it's not a rating based off of competition in the last 20, because they may have played. Venus probably hadn't played a match. What was it?
Yeah, it's been almost a year and a half since she's played a match. But I think the thing that you have to consider is like the difference in age between, it's not really about. I mean, it's not. I say it's not about Venus, even though it's about Venus.
Sure.
And it's not about her age, but it is about her. Like when we look at the comparison between Novak and Venus, right? I think Novak's 38. There's a big difference between 38 and what is she, 44? What 45, she is, or 45, yeah. Right? So, even it's. I mean, the last time she made a run at a Grand Slam was 2017, and I think she lost to her sister in the final of the Australian Open. And that at that point.
But to your point, and that's 7 years older than our current 24 Slam champ on the men's side. I'm just saying it makes her that much more relevant. I'm just telling you, Alvin. And my only point about the tangent was we almost have to put that level of player in their own special cryogenically frozen UTR. Look, I can't play a tournament that way anymore. I'm not a threat. I may not be a threat to win the next match. She'll probably feel that match for 2 more days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When she against Magdalena, it's like, okay, right. she's a top seed in this tournament. She's 7th seed. But now Venus has 3 matches on the body. It's that's gonna be tough.
So smart.
That's gonna be tough.
So smart for Freck to come out there and drop shot and run and move, and buddy. She was not gonna get into a power struggle with Venus. And how smart she was up all night, like, Peyton, thank you. Because I was thinking about that, but you just showed me not to do that. You know what I mean? And let me get back to old school. Let me run the 45-year-old game style and lob and do everything I can, and Venus still had a handful of winners on her. So, Alvin, I'll give you a quick little backstory. I'm at the Open with SCO back in 05, 04. Well, it was 04 through 07. 8 or so. John McEnroe, right, who has many years past his prime. John's darn near. He's got to be mid 60s, give or take now.
Sure.
This was 20 years ago, so he's my age, likely between me and your age now. He was 20 years ago, right?
Okay.
Sco's playing him in a set, right? Sco looks over at me, John's coming out from the booth. No one's out there. It's a nighttime match. We just got done watching somebody playing, and there were some other people playing. We're like, okay, we've already seen it. Let's get a quick hit in. He's like, T, I want to hit. I go, let's hit some balls. Out of nowhere, John McEnroe comes on the outside of Billie Jean King, comes out and says, hey, can I hit a few balls? And I'm looking over like,
Am I getting punked? Am I getting punked?
Is that even a question, right? They hit some balls, and McEnroe's kind of loosening up, stretching, hitting the old forehand, bringing out and hitting the ball. Alvin, I tell you, and Sko will appreciate this when we get him back on the pod. Hitting the ball pretty clean, bigger than you thought, because I watched McEnroe growing up myself, and I'm like, wow, Mac hits the ball pretty well. Standard pro tennis player. Hey, you want to play a set, right? Sko looks over at me like, this guy, like this is an old man. I'll kill this guy. And I'm like, I've said something that's going to my breath like, Sko, John won 8 Grand Slams. Brother's pretty good. I said,
right.
Don't sleep. I said, don't sleep. I said, and if you win the first couple games, I said, be ready for him to make an adjustment. And I said, I'm just telling you now. I said, he's going to surprise you.
He can't win this tournament, but he'll bust your ass tonight.
Sko came at him strong, had a couple aces first, and you could tell John was just kind of calibrating. Sko ended up taking him out. But when I tell you, had it gone 2 sets, now mind you, John would have needed a trainer at the end of the 2 sets, but it would have gotten that much closer. I want to say it may have been 6-3. Had it have gone, and the last 3 games, Alvin, were very fiercely contested. And Sko looked at me like, man. And I said, Sko, former number 1 in the world, bro. I go, he knows how to play the game. He may not be as fast. He may not be as good, as young and as fit. I said, but don't think he don't know where to put it. Doesn't know the adjustments to make. And we were both laughing on the way back to the hotel. Like, he was incredulous. I was like, I expected him to do that to you sooner. That just shows a little bit of age, and he probably wasn't warmed up, right? Using your match to get ready for his Masters doubles match tomorrow, right? So I said to say, so sure enough, Dobbs sends me, boy was playing the French Open, the Junior French. And sure enough, who comes over to get a quick hit in? McEnroe, right? And so I'm laughing, right? I
imagine Mac running around with it's like $100 bills in his pocket, like just trying to hustle juniors. Like, all right, well, let's put a little something on.
Put some money on
it. Put some money on it.
100%. And so I'm laughing at the fact that he's still doing the same thing, kind of hanging around the courts, checking out some players and whatnot. And anyway, I said all to say that was my experience 20 years ago. And so I tell you that to tell you, so to see a 45-year-old former number 1 and top player, to come out there for one match, I almost expected that to be, I hope they'd have gone 3 for Peyton's sake, but I almost expected Venus to win that match and to, let's face it, bow out gracefully the next day due to age and due to recovery. But I'm just saying, Alvin, now, if they were 30 in the world, maybe not so much. Top 100 in the world back in the day, still very solid. Whoop anybody at the club, period. But at the pro level, but you put a former number 1
right
at a what's DC, a 500 at a 500. Come on, Alvin.
Well, you could see like also like the point about being like, I think one of the differences in being like former number 1 and former Grand Slam, multiple time Grand Slam champion is like you could see her kind of quickly get into that zone. Like Venus got into this zone. Like, and they show the close-ups on her face. It's like she's locked in. Like, there's nothing here that can phase her. She's been in much bigger scenarios, especially at the back end of the second set where she was trying to close it out and had lots of chances and couldn't get it on, I think, I can't remember what the score was at this time, but like I think she had a couple late second. Yeah, she had a couple match points, but on Peyton's serve and wasn't able to get them. But like she never looked flustered. She's like, I've done this. This is fine. Everything's fine. I barely even feel the crowd. They're here, but like whatever. I've done this.
Or maybe better said, I'm so much more comfortable in the crowd than you are.
In the crowd, yeah. This is a big like
my crowd.
Peyton has recently played in some big tournaments, and she's a 30-something in the world touring professional, but she's never played in the last week of a Grand Slam. She's never been in a stadium like this, in a match that matters. Like
and perhaps has been the underdog for a lot of that, and had the crowd support as the underdog looking for the upset. Now she's in a sense the seed, and who is she playing? A crowd favorite, especially to your point, for DC. So
Right.
I thought it was a tough situation. I
And
thought Freck did a great job just because she's not, what's Freck, Polish? Just because she's not from here,
right.
and it's, a
Right.
lot of it didn't phase her. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then I see Peyton, I guess this would have been yesterday, out on the practice courts. Like I saw her earlier in the day and then saw her again late afternoon, got 2 different workouts in, and it's like, yeah, just getting that work in. Like that's what you got to do. Get right back to the drawing
Get right
board.
back on the horse. 100%.
And she looked fine. Like she's hitting the
Yeah.
ball well, moving well. Like seems like we just caught a blip.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Caught a blip.
Yeah.
Caught a blip. But yeah, the Venus experience was fun. She's going to be playing, and I think I just saw she got the wild card into Cincinnati, so
Nice.
she's going to be in Cincinnati a little later in a couple.
Messing up somebody else's draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then this is what's like this. I mean, you can see what's happening, right? Like you see the machine happening. Like she's hitting, and she's playing in tournaments. She's getting wild cards. She's enjoying playing. That's fine. You see this marching towards the U.S. Open. I assume she's going to get a wild card in the U.S. Open. I assume she's going to play, and then maybe she gets her grand send off there, like because she has never officially retired, right? So she's just
that's a good point.
But she's not going to just disappear. Like,
but you don't think a lot of this, and I'll come back from my tangent on the tennis portion, which I still wholeheartedly stand by. You don't think this is still part of the whole selling tickets situation? This is not part of the whole. You got Alcaraz and Raducanu playing mixed.
no,
You don't think this is part of
these events? These events are. I mean, DC got lucky. I mean, it seems like they're selling tickets anyways. Like they're fine, probably fine. Cincinnati is fine. They just went through this major expansion. This is their like unveiling year. There's a documentary out about like how they almost lost the event to Charlotte in the last 2 years, and we were able to resecure it, and now they're investing more into the facility.
Sure.
I'll drop a link in the description if I can find it or remember that I said that. But I think I don't. To my point, I don't think it's a tickets thing. The U.S. Open, I just feel like
there was a line. You said it yourself. I'm just
there was a line, but all these people already had tickets. Like they're already there. Those are grounds passes. Like that's an empty. It's a first come first serve situation. But for the doubles, anyways, for the singles, that thing was packed out, and the tickets got expensive. I'm lucky I got mine early. But I just feel like we're moving towards a good send off for her.
Sure.
Very similar to what we saw with Serena. Except for even forget, Serena played no warm-up events leading up to the U.S. Open before she retired. She just played the Open and got to the third round, beat the 2 seed. Like, this is off topic, but if she had done what Venus is doing now, like got serious, played a couple warm-up events, and then went and played the U.S. Open. I mean, she's definitely beating. She lost to the Australian girl in the third round, but and then she just looked a little rusty, looked a little tired.
Yeah.
But I feel like Isla Tomljanovic is who she lost to. But she beat Annette Kontaveit in this first round, second round. Like Annette was 2 in the world.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So I feel like we're moving towards that. Also with the Venus returning, they've also been showing that Serena has been training and she's hitting and she's lost a bunch of weight and she looks great. Yeah. And she's out hitting. It's like, are they playing doubles in the U.S. Open?
Yeah, no, that would be fun to see.
Probably.
That would be fun to see. I would go. I'm going to New York in 3 weeks. I would go back to New York to watch them. You know what I mean? To watch them play dubs. That just for old time's sake. You know what I mean? And that's my whole point. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for the media, but I'm saying at some point, you said it best, Alvin. Tennis needs to be, these big tournaments need to be more like tennis festivals, right? And who would you want to see more playing women's doubles than, for old time's sake, Venus and Serena? You know what I mean? Lacing it up once again. I personally think that'd be a great match to watch and be a part of.
And they mean so much. Like so if you look at so Venus is 45 and Serena is 43. I'm 42. Yeah. So as far as like when I was coming of age as a tennis player, like when I was in juniors, they were kind of, I mean, they weren't actively playing in juniors, but they were about the same age. So like I never really like idolized them. They did not get me into tennis. That is for the generation behind you, right? So like their impact on said generation is it's always kind of lost on me. I always just appreciated them as tennis players, right? I didn't see them as like barrier breakers because I was there at the exact same time. So a little different story. But then,
Right.
like, I remember telling someone, like, when I was a kid coming up in junior tennis in Georgia, like, there weren't many black girls. There were like a handful.
Sure.
But then when I came back coaching 10 years later,
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So
Yeah.
like that is I could see the impact,
Yeah.
right? That was not by mistake. I could see the impact
Yeah.
that they had, and then got to see them as professionals and just appreciated them as outstanding tennis players. So, but now coming back to it, like, and seeing them as, you know, we're all adults now.
Yeah.
And seeing how people, like, the reverence that people older than I myself have for them,
Right.
who were adults when they both hit the scene, right?
Yeah.
And then also the players, like, even Naomi said, like, you know, Venus is like, it's like
Queen.
Mama, it's like Queen Venus. Like, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You're, you know, 15, almost 20 years younger than her. So that, yeah,
Sure.
I get it. So yeah, that impact is real. For whatever it is, like, however long it is,
however long it lasts, it just to be enjoyed, it's to be appreciated, and hey, it's and in the grand scheme of things, we're all a little dust in the wind, aren't we? And so for this little moment, for that dust to be a little bit more pertinent and a little bit more, you know, I'm going to say more substantial right now, buddy, I'm all for it. And I thought it was great. I thought it was good for tennis. I really was. It was, I hated to be Peyton that night, but at the same time, it was good for tennis to see. And I'll tell you one more thing. It was good for Alvin. It was good to see her looking good. Had she gone out there and looked horrible, right, we'd have a very different podcast, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we might not be talking about it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Alvin, she was in that forehand about as clean as she's ever hit it. I mean, she was hitting the forehand about as Venus always had the backhand. Serve was clean, looked comfortable. You know, I just felt like, I mean, her hair was looking good. She was looking good. I mean, she looked happy, you know, and I have to tell you, for her, I was very happy for her. The space she's in, recently engaged, I just felt like she was, you know, things are, you know, for as much as she's given to the game, it was good to see her have a moment like that.
Yeah, and, like, you know, to the point of, like, looking good, hitting the ball well. You know, I ventured out to the practice courts a good bit. I spent a good amount of time in the practice courts when I was in DC. It's kind of my thing, and she was, like, going through her process and, like, yeah, just looked like a player, but, like, very unbothered by all the things around. And you got to think, like, when when she was one in the world and winning Grand Slams and filing Grand Slams, like, she's been around a lot more hoopla than this.
Right.
This is like, oh, this is cute to her. Like, we're in a park here. We're in a park here in DC, northern DC, and this is the cute little stadium you got here, and this is nice. But so it was just about the tennis.
Even her little famous wave and her wave with her little turn that she does, her little ballerina ice skating turn she does. It was just that her patented move, right? It was just so good to see all of it. You know, it was brought it all back.
Kind of my last point on her is, like, to that exact point there, like, everyone was caught up in the Venus Williams rapture, and, you know, her press conferences were, you know, obviously she's extremely well spoken. She had eloquent thoughts and had, like, reporters eating out of the palm of her hand and all this stuff. It made me think, and I talked to others about it while I was there. It's like, it just kind of shows you the gap in personalities between like this woman who is a full on, like, a complete person at this point
100%.
in her life,
100%.
Versus some of these, like, I guess, relatively children who were expecting to be introspective, and be interesting and be comfortable enough in their skin and their position as tennis players. It's almost not fair. Like, the point was, like, man, we really need some more characters on tour, but, like, it does take a certain amount of perspective in life to be at work and be a character at the same time. Like, let your character show through.
On that thought, and I know we may taper after this, Venus was always very well spoken, very, very articulate, perhaps even more so than Serena. You always felt like Serena was a little more, I'm going to say, real, for lack of a better word, and very understanding of the moment, Serena. but I always felt that Venus was very, very, or not that Serena wasn't, but Venus was just a little better at it. The point I'm making is, and we may agree, we may disagree on this one, I don't know. That's what you miss when some of the greats leave. You miss their perspective. You miss their otherworldly sense of the moment, everything around it. I was watching a recent little Instagram about Andre, and when he was number one in the world, and how it was on success and failure just the other day, and how he wasn't happy, right? And his mindset was, as he goes on to say in that little minute and whatever 30-second video. But you could see in the pictures were very, very well attuned to his arise and then his fall, right? And then his rise again, right? But Agassi, and you've heard him commentate, as I have, Alvin, in matches since then, about how well spoken, and how we're watching the ball being hit by the racket. He's watching the person in the moment and how they're handling it. And I just say it to say the perspective is just different. When I coach a kid right now, after almost 30 years of coaching, it's not that ball he missed. He missed that ball 3 shots ago. I know it. He doesn't. He won't have a clue for another year that I was right. I've seen that already so many times. He didn't see the first short ball. His next 2 balls were a little bit short in the court. The kid's next ball was inevitably deeper. He's trying to come in on the ball he should have came in 2 balls ago.
Right.
You know this as well as I do, right? The kid comes in and gets past easily if he makes the approach at all. I saw it. I almost turned away and says, yep, you'll miss the next approach shot because you're going to come on a ball that you should have come in 2 balls ago. What am I looking at? I'm looking at all of it. He sees that ball. Agassi sees that at the pro level, right? What I'm seeing on court 3 on a random Tuesday, he says, it's just Thursday to me. But yeah, I saw the same thing for so and so and so and so. So now imagine that perspective is now in front of the microphone. And could somebody really fill those shoes, having lived such a relatively shorter period of time, let alone lived on the tour for that length of time, and didn't have those experiences? So I'm just saying those are the things you miss when the torchbearers.
Well, I agree with you to your point, but I think it's even less. It's that thing like you hit your prime when your physical abilities, when your mental capabilities meet your physical, abilities at some apex, and then you want to zoom in and elongate that period of time for as long as possible, right?
And decelerate as slow as possible.
While the mental abilities to read the game continue to increase, you want to slow down the decrease of your physical capabilities. Tom Brady was able to do it for a while. LeBron James has been able to do it. Like, this is what the greats, Novak is able to do it. Like, that they're fighting against their physical disadvantage because they have such a greater mental advantage, right? And that not only comes across like while they're playing the game, but also where the game fits in their life and how they're able to view the game from, like, when you're 25, you're in, I don't care what your job is, you're just in it. You're a young adult trying to figure it out, right? And if your job happens to be a professional tennis player and you're pretty good at it, that's gonna you are already the sun in your own universe to begin with as a professional tennis player, right? Everything revolves around you. And then that universe just keeps
heliocentric.
Very much so. Very much so. Basketball is still the term. We've been doing it in tennis for a long time. But then now you add, you're just bouncing around the world playing tennis, right? And it never stops. It's 11 months out of the year. You're just moving. So the expectation or the want from us on the outside for these players to have that perspective, it's impossible. They can't do it. You're just too young. You're just too young. It can't happen until you've seen it enough times to where you're not worried about the minutia of the thing, and you can zoom out and look at the macro of it all. And that's where Venus is in life right now. That's where anyone, past the age of 30, 35 probably is in life. But to your point about the greats, we don't have them. It's like, well, we can't have them. They can't play tennis anymore at a high level. Like they can't stay high enough ranked to stay around long enough for us
Sure.
to be able to have this outside of these one-off wild card situations.
I think what I'm getting at is that we miss them,
Oh,
and
sure.
whether they're in the booth, whether they're coaching someone else who's now younger and doing their thing. I would love to hear from her more often. I would love to hear from Andre more often. I would love to hear. I've read a few articles recently from Tim Henman. I think when Novak gets done, I would love to hear more from Novak. Andy Murray, because they are still so relevant, and because of that otherworldly, that almost surreal understanding of it all. And there's no disrespect on some of the others who I perhaps don't like to listen to so much in the booth, but I say it to say I would love to hear more of them. And Venus just reminded me how much that I personally have missed her, and her time on court just continued to make her comments more relevant, right? She still knows what she knows. Is she able to do it anymore? That's not her fault being 45. It's the fact that she still has all of that wherewithal to share with the world. To me is a travesty not to be able to to hear from her, should that be her wish, right, to share it with us. But I just feel like Tennis Channel and other people, we got some great people in the booth, some young ones. Love, they got my girl Coco in there, Vanderway, they got Sam, they got Eubanks, they got my main man Monroe, Nick Monroe.
Yeah.
They could have we're going to call it a Coach's Corner championship edition, you know what I mean, for the Venuses, for that level of play, for the Andres, to really give us some true insights of what's going on there. And to people that are very articulate and very well, not just well spoken on how they present, but who've been there and done it, can help us, mere mortals, understand it from that perspective. So
and I think that's kind of the kicker you kind of touched on. I think you were alluding to McEnroe, but like the great ones need to stay close to the game, like at the ground level, to really have a fresh, to marry what they already know,
100%,
to what's happening right now.
Yep.
And I think that's the special sauce. To that point, Sally Jenkins had an article out in the Washington Post a couple weeks ago, and kind of just really putting down the McEnroe brothers and their commentary. And I saw it on Instagram and shared it on the Best of Three account. And boy, let me tell you, we're not. This is not a social media driven exploration here that we're doing. We are on social media because we have to be on social media. But the crux of what we do around here is this podcast. That's what we're here for. But let me tell you, we got a lot of new followers. And a lot of views, and the comment section, it's really a glimpse into the tennis fans' view on how they like to watch tennis. And what it comes down to, I believe, is there are casual fans who watch tennis during the Grand Slams, and they're only watching the big matches that are on ESPN. And so, like, they're cool with it. Like, they like John McEnroe. They knew him from when he was a player, and they know him as a broadcaster. And they don't really care how he pronounces, Kabali, because they don't know how to pronounce it either. They don't know who this guy is.
Right.
But so that it works for them. But then there are the people who are the diehards, and I would imagine the people who listen to this podcast probably want a little bit more. Want something a little bit different. So it's been really, really interesting just to kind of see people and their thoughts about the subject, because we talk about it here a little bit every once in a while, but now that it's out in the public and we are kind of swept up in that conversation, it's been eye-opening for me. Let's do this. Let's take a little break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about on-site in DC.
The tournament. I'm dying to hear some of your experiences and who impressed you. Because
Absolutely.
when you see it in person, it's different, isn't it?
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. All right. So in the first half of the podcast, we talked about the Venus Williams experience and how that's going and how that felt whilst in DC and on TV and the whole deal. So whilst, never a bad moment to use whilst. So that was in part one. So now we're here. Want to talk about? I was on site for 2 days.
Yep.
Let me tell you, the things that I saw. So my experience at a professional tennis event is very, I want to say it's probably atypical from someone who would buy a ticket and go to the event, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you buy a ticket, sometimes you get a grounds pass, sometimes you get a ticket to the stadium, which also comes with a grounds pass effectively. But there's a lot happening on site, right?
Okay.
You walk in, there's a merchandise shop, right? There's the stringers are there, like stringing up all the rackets. You've got show courts, you've got stadium court, you've got, there's the fan zone, like there's bars and DJs, and then there's the food area, and then there's practice courts, and that's kind of like what you got there. But when you're watching tennis on TV, right, you only see the courts, and Washington D.C. can look like Cabo, can look like Kitzbühel, right? Can look like whatever. They all kind of look the same. Yeah. It's the court with the location at the bottom, so you know where you are, right? But when you're there, like tennis facilities are all unique. And ones that have stadiums that are big enough to hold an ATP or WTA event are also unique in their own right. So Rock Creek Tennis Center in Rock Creek Park, right, is north of downtown DC. About a 30-minute Uber ride for me from let's say Naval Yard where I was staying all the way up to Rock Creek. And it's just a tennis center in a big park. Okay. Right. And so you get there and you have these bleachers set up, but like you can see that the bleachers are also like on a court. So it's like might have 3 courts in a row side by side, but like there's bleachers on the court in the middle, 2-sided bleachers to create show courts for courts 1 and would be 1 and 3, right? So that is like, if you go to the US Open, you see the courts, you see what it's set up like, but like that's not normal. 100%. Normal tournaments have 1 or 2 courts, sometimes 3 or 4, but like they're not stadiums for professional tennis events all the time. Right. 1 week, 2 weeks out of the year. It's like this one. Yeah, it's like that. Like, so they make, like some of these courts, they make stadium courts out of them. But it's always cool. It still feels like this one was a lot like Charleston, and that felt like a tennis center you've been at a million times. Just it had a stadium court. Felt like being at our old Sun Mountain Tennis Center that we had built for the Olympics.
Right. I was gonna say that. There's a Randall Stadium right there, and a bunch of courts, and then for the Olympics, it looked like it was a tennis center.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. But so on site, right? So I like to get out and go to the practice courts, get out there and see the players really going through the work, because I was explaining to someone, we have these players who are the best in the world at what they do. Right. But tennis is very unique in that you can get right next to them. Yeah. Like Taylor Fritz is the 4th best male tennis player on the planet. I was standing right next to him.
You're
at one
right
point.
There. Yeah, and he's right there.
Right next to him. Right. And it was no different than when I was standing right next to him at Orange Bowl some years ago. Like, it was just, at that point he was just a kid, like one of the kids, but like now he's still Taylor Fritz, but now he's pretty good at his job.
Number 4 or 5 in the world, Taylor Fritz. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Let's put it in comparison, right? Like I think Jason Tatum was like 4th in the NBA MVP voting this year, right? You can never get that close to Jason Tatum. Right. Never.
Never. Not have some legal action and a few cops chasing you. Yeah.
Exactly. You can't watch him go to practice, right? You can't, like, if you go see him play basketball, right, you're paying a lot of money for it, and that money gets the price tag goes up the closer you get to the court, right? Sure. And that's one of the and sometimes professional basketball players, they don't always bring it. You know, like there's a difference between the first quarter of regular season game and the fourth quarter of regular season game. There's a difference between a game in January versus a game in April or May, right?
Like there's before and after All-Star break and so on.
Exactly. The intensity does lift as the stakes become higher. But in tennis players would play well all the time if they could. Sure. Right. So when you're seeing them, there's never an instance, very, very seldom is there an instance where they're not trying as hard as they can to play the best tennis that they possibly can. Right. So take that as my my baseline, right?
Yep.
Understanding this when I go into it, right? So if I go see Ben Shelton at the U.S. Open, actually, Ben Shelton at the Australian Open, because I've seen him at the Australian Open.
Okay.
Right? And I'm upper bowl, right? It wasn't that far up. It was like pretty decent seats. But Ben Shelton trying at the Australian Open is the same as Ben Shelton trying in DC. It's the same as Ben Shelton trying in Atlanta, right?
Yep.
It's the same.
He's at the old Atlanta Open, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing the same thing. Like he's the same person doing the same thing, which is trying to play top level tennis and win this tennis match.
Yep.
So here is my crescendo here.
Okay.
Go to the smaller tournaments because you can get right there. Just plan a little bit in advance. Maybe get there the match before as opposed to right there for the start of that match.
Right.
But you can get so close. And when you get that close, you can see and hear what they're going through. I sat behind Elena Rybakina's box when she played Victoria Mboko, and just hearing the conversation, not really a conversation, it was like more one-way traffic from the coach to Elena. It's like you learn so much about them as people.
Yeah.
Like Elena Rybakina, like they say she's like doesn't show any emotion. Dude, none.
Wow.
Those eyes are dead. She is like it was. I saw her at one because I was talking to the guy that I was sitting next to, and I was like, man, she really doesn't like no highs, no lows. Mm-hmm. Like at one point she went. That was it. That was it.
There was your outburst emotion.
That was it. It. Yet her coaches were chirping the whole match. Every time she came back there, every point they're chirping, chirp. I was like, man, they're talking a lot. They're not really saying anything of value. They're just chirping, and she's just even keeled the entire way. And then to juxtapose that, I was sitting behind Cam Norrie's box, and when I say behind the box, it's not like the box at Wimbledon where it's like you can see this section off for like 15 people or whatever. The box is the first
or Australia,
row
where it's literally sitting off to the side where the clock is, and it's the literal section dedicated solely to them. These are seats.
These are seats. There are 4 seats that say player 1, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then but you could effectively there are 6 seats or 8 seats in that row. You could sit right next to them if you want to.
Right.
But Cam Norrie was playing against Brandon Nakashima, and I sat right behind Norrie's box. I was like, because I'm like, there's no better place for me to sit and learn what these players are actually like and going through during a tennis match than here.
Yeah.
And Cam's box was juxtaposed to Elena's box, like very, very chill. Like
very chill.
LA. Every once in a while, Cam is just like very cerebral, like just kind of talking to them, talking through it. And that's a really, really fun way to experience a tennis match.
Right.
Like very fun way to experience a tennis match.
Yeah.
And you've been in it. Yeah.
I wanna add. I have the feeling, and I've seen some of the comments you've shared, and some of them that I've seen. Many of our listeners, viewers, are extremely solid tennis fans themselves.
Yeah.
I would even tell you that I don't really care for the matches. I hate to say it. I care only for the practice and the practice sessions. And I'll tell you why. I'm only seeing a snippet of that player in that match. I am not seeing him or her in a more of a true neutral setting. In that match, I've got the history, how they're feeling that day, what day in a row is this of them playing a tournament? Are they defending or not? What's the head-to-head? I mean, all the other match minutia, right, that the commentator may or may not bore me with. But in practice, there's rarely a bad day of practice. There's rarely a day they're not out there hitting the ball. And I get to see them. It's like the professional tennis academy, if you will, when you see them out there on practice courts. And I, as a coach, as a player, enjoy watching them train, them getting better at their craft. They're going to go out there and hit the tennis ball as good as they possibly can on match day. But I got to see them for that hour and a half play, hit, train, shag balls, hit out balls. And I got to see occasionally just a little bit of magic. I don't necessarily see a lot of that in the matches themselves. There's the occasional Carlos that'll show a little hot dog in there. He'll show a little between the leg, and and a little bit of a dang every once in a while, and some fireworks. But in general, a lot of the pros are pretty buttoned up. You're right. You know what I mean? They're pretty they're trying to get that match, right? It's a business at that point. And the practice courts, man, you're watching them just train. You're watching them just go at it. They're talking, they're going back and forth, 2-on-1s, 1-on-2s, play points. And it just, I've been to a lot of tournaments like you have, Alvin. I've seen a lot of practice courts. And I got to tell you, man, everybody, don't care where you're from around the world, everybody speaks tennis. And it's just so good to see when you're watching it. That's where it's pure to me. And I love when I see it. The matches can be, sometimes take a leave, especially early on in the tournament, right? Now, the Grand Slam, obviously the matches can be what they are, but just saying, for me, I am probably 80-20 practice courts to match courts.
I would say,
and just for my own 2 cents of what you were saying.
No, I'm right there with you. So like when I got on site on Wednesday, I got there about noon, and I went and I had a seat in the stadium, right? So like there's matches going on in the stadium, there are matches going on the outside courts. Beeline to the practice courts. I went straight to the practice courts. And in DC, they did a really good job of setting up. I guess they moved it, but from previous years. But now, like where all the food is, it's in this indoor, like makeshift indoor food hall, essentially.
Okay.
That runs the width of the practice court.
Right.
There are 5 practice courts in a row, or maybe 6, right there off the kind of behind the stadium, and the food hall is right behind it, so you can be getting your food and watch practice. Sure. You can go right outside and go right behind the courts, and watch practice. And I spent so much time out there. I saw so many players getting their work in. It's also my favorite part. Like the matches, especially in order, going inside the stadium to watch a match is my least favorite thing to do. Like I had stadium tickets on both days. I don't think I watched a single match. I think I watched one game of Raducanu in Osaka in the stadium, and I was like, I don't want to sit here anymore. This is not fun. Like this is the worst way to watch tennis, actually.
Right.
And I might sell my U.S. Open tickets, to be honest with you. If I can get a grounds pass, I might just sell my Louis Armstrong tickets, because I don't want to watch tennis in there.
Old Louis used to have the seats where you could kind of watch both, right? You could kind of be looking over
on the top,
you could look in the top row and watch both matches at one point.
Yeah.
To your point about the practice courts and having the way it's set up that way, I remember Atlanta had it that way for our last year here. They had that little indoor food tent there. The U.S. Open,
but their practice courts are off-site, though. They practice at Georgia Tech,
Sure. But later the tournament, by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the other
right?
So then you can watch, and it's right next to where the food was. I say it to say, the U.S. Open in recent years, different than 20 years ago. They even have monitors that show the practice court schedule, so you can actually go see the players. When so and so is on the practice courts because it's right there. And to me, getting a chance to watch a player, especially for me, I look forward to watching Carlos practice, but I'm also looking forward to watch, Caboli, for example, who's a new player. I wouldn't have known him unless I watched him at a practice court setting. I'm like, who's that kid over there? And I'm watching, kid's pretty good. And you like seeing that because you don't know, obviously with the bigger slams, watching the up-and-coming juniors, right? There's a lot of, it's just a really neat time to kind of really see who's kind of up and coming and who's practicing, because you don't always watch them. They may not be around by Friday or Saturday. And that's when you might get a chance to see them. So I'm with you. I just feel like the practice courts are huge.
Cabali is that's a perfect example, because he was in the tournament as well. I saw him practice for a bit, and that kid's got something.
I like him. I like him a lot. I say Caboli, but Cabali, I like him a lot.
He's got something. He hits I'm watching him, he's hitting. I think Taylor was maybe 2 courts down, and maybe Diallo was right there. But you watch him hit, and it's he gets a lot out of the legs. Yeah. He hits a big ball out of the legs, and I mean, he has that high level soccer background, but he gets a lot out of those legs, and he also carries himself like he's that dude.
Right.
which is
Big jam.
like it.
Big jam
Yeah,
all
he
day.
is.
Yeah.
He's got Fig Jam
Yeah.
or BDE as the kids might call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can look that up in your own time. All the acronyms, you're getting them all the acronyms here. But yeah, he's got it. He's really got it. And like right before, like you mentioned, like professional tennis academy for us, from the coaching standpoint of like, I'm just walking the back of the courts and like Naomi is hitting right next to Emma Raducanu and they're going to be playing in about 30 minutes. It's like
Sure.
on TV, that match looks like it's in the stadium. Like, oh, it's a big match, but like, it's just tennis. I'm like 30 minutes ago, they were right outside the stadium,
right,
hitting with their respective teams right next to each other. And
Yep.
Danielle Collins was on the front court. And,
Right.
it's just, it's so cool to see, like, to your point, okay, I venture out to there's one practice court that's kind of like over by the grandstand, one of the other smaller stadium courts, and it's a standalone court. And Dan Evans is out there working out with Jonesy and Billy Harris.
Okay.
And I'm standing over there. There aren't a lot of people there, and I'm on the side of the fence, and they're working out, and they're doing this dance at the baseline. Billy's at the service box, and Billy will feed him one. Dan rips. Billy goes open court with the volley, and they play it out from there. And Dan kept passing Billy with backhands cross court. Like regardless of how well Billy would hit that first volley, Dan would just pass him cross court. And then he says something to him about. He starts kind of giving him a little bit of coaching advice. He's like, "Hey, you're just giving that away too early. I see it every single time."
Right.
He's like, "You don't have to guard the cross court or the down the line that hard when you're that close."
Right.
He's like, even if you guess wrong, you're right there. You can just stab. And so I'm on the fence, and when they go back to hitting, so Jonesy is this British guy. He's a hitting partner. He kind of travels around and he's hitting partner with Dan, but also at events as well. So he's I think he was acting as he was his coach this week. Yeah. So when they go back to hitting, I'm on the side and Jonesy's like right in front of me, and I'm like, "Hey, Jonesy," and he's like, "Who the hell are you?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about who I am." What was that bit Dan said about, what was he talking about there? Was he talking about the actual volley? Or was he talking about the positioning? And he's looking at me like kind of quizzical, like kind of sound like you're talking about. Yeah. And he explained it to me because he was closer, like what Dan was saying, what I just told you. Yeah. And I was like, this is what it's about. Like, this is what it's about. Like, it's about the tennis. And when you come out to the practice courts, it's just about the tennis. Also, Dan and Billy were both going shirtless in this practice. One looks like a professional tennis player. The other one did not. Dan, you gotta tighten up, my guy.
Dan's got a little dad bod. Huh? He's looking a little.
Yeah, you gotta tighten up, my guy.
Yeah. I was at a tournament one year at LA hard courts, and the Bryan brothers were over there, obviously training, and they were, probably right near where they had played a lot of tennis, for a large part of them growing up. And I was so blown away at their doubles workout and just how intense and how intentional the workouts were. Yeah. And I remember watching and a few other times, to your point, some of these gems that some of these top players will give you, about just in general, a lot of, and for me as a coach, some of the stuff was some myth busters, right? And I remember one of them so clearly. Was I'm trying to remember who the player was. He was trying to, in a nice way, kind of put me in my place. You know what I mean? I was talking about the need to split step and go forward, and he was like, "Yeah, coach, I agree with you, but man, gotta have time for that though, And he's like, "If you don't have time, you don't have time. I know for me, and this guy's number one in the world in doubles. For me, didn't have time. I mean, what could I do? You don't have time to split step." And he said it in such a nice way. It was like, I know what you're trying to say, but that ball's coming 150 miles an hour. Good luck with the split step. You better hop and lean forward and educatedly guess which way that ball's going, because the technique of your split step is a little lost at that speed. And I couldn't have been more humbled and silenced, like, oh,
Yeah.
Good point.
Because if that's split step, it's not get ready, it's hold on.
Right. But he said it in such a way that was like, and he watched a couple points and he was like, you know what I think he's better served doing this and this. And he said it so as a matter of fact, and I was like, God, how did I not see that? Again, but the tennis IQ of some of these guys is just so high. It just, again, to your point, you love hearing even that little nugget. You know what I mean. And now when he said it, you're looking for like, yeah. Now that you say it, he was leaning a little bit on that line, wasn't he? But you didn't necessarily pick it up before. You know what I mean? So
right.
it's just it's funny what you can see.
And then another one of the takeaways is like the levels of tennis that we're talking about here, right? So out on the practice courts, like you see everyone from, I guess the highest ranked player is like in the tournaments that I saw. I saw Taylor, so he's the 1 seed. I saw Jessica practicing, it's also the 1 seed. But they got to hit with somebody, right? So in this event, they weren't often hitting with other players in the tournament. They were hitting with hitting players, like hitting partners, like not hitting partners, but like there's a stable of players who are there, who are good players, who are on. They're at Pagula has a hit at 1:00 and needs a hitting partner. Okay, cool. One of the hitting partners will go out there and hit with Jessica.
Yep.
Or she requests one of them, whatever it might be. Because I saw a lot of the same guys out there hitting with. I saw the guy hitting with Jessica. I saw that same guy hitting with Kabali later on. And there's a kid from Florida. I saw him. He's wearing his Florida gear, but he's hitting at with a bunch of different players. And so like, it's like, yeah, these guys are good too. They're good too. They're just not that good. Right. They're not that good. There's something missing. I was talking to this lady who's very knowledgeable tennis fan, and she's like, yeah, just like she's like, they're so good right here, but they obviously have to be missing something. I was like, yeah, they're not playing points. They're not serving. They're not returning. I was like, this kid's pretty good. I'm sure Taylor starts serving. He's got a whole different set of problems to deal with. And then you go into but like that's practice, right? And in practice, you can see like some of the players, like Kalinskaya, right? Okay. Had a great year last year, not so great at the start of this year. Got caught up in the Yannick Center whirlwind, and then now she's back and she's healthy and she's playing. I saw her 2 years ago at the Australian Open, and I was like, okay, well, she's healthy again. She's looking decent. Okay, fine. I saw her hit last week, or yesterday. I'm like, damn, she's good. She hits that forehand as clean as Christmas, like effortlessly. And I was like, now I see why she has she's got top 20 potential if she's healthy. Yeah. And it's like but I hadn't really considered her as a top 20 player because I hadn't really seen her play that much. Yeah. But I'm sitting here watching her work out, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good ball. That's a really, really good ball. And then the other thing I'm gonna travel with, I got two other things I want to talk to you about. This is like my thing here. The difference between 50 in the world and 30 in the world. Like the separator here.
You better have your micrometer out. You know what I mean?
You better have your micrometer out. And if I had to take one thing away, there are some players who have a very firm understanding of how to use the spin of the ball. And it sounds really simple, right? But I'll take a match, which I watched very closely, the entirety of this match. Andrei Rublev, I told you we weren't going to talk about him again until we needed to talk about him. We need to talk about him now because I sat through an hour and 45 minutes of his match against Lerner Tien.
Yep.
Right? And I'll bring this up again because I watched Lerner Tien play the next match against Alejandro Davidovich Fokina.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rublev, one, fan favorite. People love Rublev. They love him. They love him. He's practicing. They're following him during the matches. His match was packed. They were there to see him because in the next match, no one cares about Lerner Tien.
Lerner, yeah.
They were there for
except
House.
Another short lefty who who's wearing his jersey.
Hey, look, I appreciate Lerner Tien. I saw him when I was in Australia in 23. I saw him in the junior event, and that was my first time seeing him in person. So, big fan of his game. But in that matchup, right, I was like, I really wanted to get a grasp of like, how does Lerner win these matches against these big players?
Top
He's
team
top 40 in
players.
the world at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he's like, he's
And
no
had a
joke. Like,
handful
he's
of good
going,
top
looks like
10 wins. I mean, he's been doing real
yeah,
well with
yeah.
this.
And in this matchup, I did notice like, there's one thing that I picked up on pretty early. I'm like, when they get into cross court rallies, why is Lerner trying to go so flat through the court?
Mm-hmm.
Especially on the forehand side, from the outside back to Andre's backhand, like on a rope. I'm like, it doesn't really feel like that's the right shot because you're not, one, he's not making it, and two, when he makes it, he's kind of at a disadvantage. At about the fifth game in the first set, I noticed that Lerner decides to hit that same shot now with shape, right?
Right.
Andre comes back more so with the ball coming at the baseline as opposed to attempting to cross over the sideline, and then Lerner stings his ass up the line. Boom, winner. Like, okay. And then it happened again. And then it happened again. There's probably this happened 4 times in 2 games.
Yep.
Ad court rally, Lerner goes heavy, Andre comes back, cross court, Lerner, boom, down the line. And then now you start to realize, okay, he's gonna start playing this with that's the pattern. And Lerner found the pattern. He just took him it took him a minute to find it, but he found it in real time. It was so cool watching the supercomputer do its thing. Like, we all have these patterns, we have these game plans, we have these shots, but then you get into a match and you got to figure out what's going to work like right here, right now, today. And to see him do it in real time I'm so appreciative of like that being the case and exposing kind of like Rublev's weaknesses. Like, Rublev don't move that well side to side. Like that's kind of his Achilles heel. It's like, he can hit it hard, but he doesn't ever hit it hard with shape. Like, he can't really pull you off the court. And then if you go pace line, he does not move laterally very well. So like, you put that all together, and it's like it is. You can see it come together with someone who has the ability to vary shape, vary spin, and make those micro adjustments, which didn't help Lerner so much in his next match against David Shakina.
I was just looking at the scores. I was trying to figure out what was the scores in that next match. 5-2 against Rublev, and what was the scores against David Shakina?
Like
2-2,
maybe 2-2. Yeah. Because
and back to back because you're at that part of the tournament where you start to play back to back again. So
it was back to back. Yeah,
could also be tough.
David Shakina, if you watch him play, you'd think he's top 10 in the world. Like, the way that guy moves and the weight of shot he's able to produce from like anywhere in the court.
Right.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
Yeah, I agree.
But like, in the grand scheme of things, like he ain't that good. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, he's 30-ish in the world, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they're about the same. But like, he made Lerner look like a child.
Yeah.
I mean, look like a child.
After Lerner, straight set it. Your boy 5 in the world. Not 5 seed. What's Andre? 10 in the world, 11 in the world, give or take.
He's around there, yeah.
Rublev. So I'm saying that's to my point, and I think that's where the average, in my opinion, the average fan doesn't always understand the matchups. They don't always understand what a surface difference can do, and what and then on a given day, Rublev is really the person with a little less info on Lerner. He's only played so many matches, right? He probably had only played him a handful of times. If that, this wasn't the first time playing, where Lerner's got a lot of info and match, data bank on Andre, right? So I'm just saying it's one of those, because he's seen him play for 5 years, right? But as far as watching him on the tour, so I don't know. There's so many layers to it, Alvin. I personally think that's what's fun about tennis, when you then see that player. So he beats Lerner beats Andre here, and then. Let's just say next week, or wherever they're headed next. What's the next tournament? Is it when's Cincinnati?
Toronto.
Then Cincinnati?
It's Toronto/Montreal, and then Cincinnati.
Right. So, then you see, let's just say Andre goes ham on the in 2 tournaments from now, and gets to a semi or final. You're like, and then you remember when you being Lerner 10, I beat that guy 5-2. 2 weeks ago, you know what I mean? And so, and was that the same Andre? You don't know. Has he got that pattern figured out? That's also what you love about the hard court season, is that it's also, it can be pretty it can be pretty hot and heavy. And what you did well on week, let's just say 23, ain't the same thing. Ain't the same place on week 26, or I'm just spitballing the number here. And then by the time the Open gets here, we've had about 5-6 weeks where we're all starting to get our legs under us for hard court, and those of us that are still healthy enough to keep going are going to show you a little bit of magic. And that's kind of what I really like about the hard court season is that you got to start bringing it now. The guys that don't have a ton of weapons have really fine-tuned the passes, the returns. The guys that have the serves and the big forehands, they're dialed in. I mean, those balls are coming off like rockets, and then it's just fun. And then everything kind of, to your point, crescendos right to the, to that point at the Open. And it's pretty clean tennis. It's pretty clean. It's
at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Ball strikers, extravaganza, at that point.
Yeah. And it's so that was really really cool to see. And then also kind of my last point is like you get to, this would probably change based on where you are, but you get to see the players that really resonate with fans. Like anytime there was a crowd, I got to the point of realizing like you be able to predict like who was around.
Who was? Yeah. Right.
Ben Shelton he's that dude right now. Like the people love Ben Shelton. They love Ben Shelton. And
lots to like.
I think is a lot to like. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Like his girlfriend was in town as well, Trinity, and yes, that's his girlfriend, but also Trinity Rodman is a whole person.
Sure.
To herself. She is a professional soccer player who has a whole thing of her own, but the two of them together make a beautiful thing. Yeah. But they were like handing out ice cream in this ice cream truck, and like the swarm of people around. I've heard the ice cream was really good, so maybe that's it too. But I was like, oh, what is going on over here? I was just over here, there was nothing going on. Now that I'm here, and there's something going on. Oh, Ben's in the thing, he's doing the thing. And then later on, like this the next day, I come back and I see a swarm of players around the court that I was watching Dan Evans practice on. I saw a swarm of people around that court. I was like, oh, I bet Ben's over there. I just bet Ben's practicing over there. I get over there. I make it far over enough just to peek onto the court. I see Brian. I was like, oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah. This is what happens when Ben is. It's even more so than Francis. Like, it's Ben and then, like, Emma Raducanu. Like, people just, like, flock to see them.
Sure. What was I have to interject and maybe change your track. This is Francis's more or less home mini slam there in DC. How was the crowd with him? Good to see him playing a couple good matches. How did you find him and the crowd? Were you able to watch one of his matches?
I declined to watch one of his matches. So he was playing a night match against Kosovic, sorry. At the same time, Rebecca and I was playing against Victoria Mboko, and that's the match I wanted to watch. So, but it was on the stadium. It was on the smaller stadium court that was right outside the big stadium court, so I could hear it, and I could see the scoreboard too. So I could see the score going on. Francis won that match in 3, but I could hear it. So the fan support was there, like it was big. And when he was out practicing on the practice courts, like people were there as well. He's definitely still the hometown kid. I saw a lot of people around with JTCC? Or JC?
JTCC. Junior Tennis
JTCC
Championship Center or whatever it is called. Yeah, JTCC. Yeah.
Okay. So I saw a lot of people with those shirts around. Saw Francis's dad around. Like he's out there with the people. So he's still got that hometown energy. I think it was only usurped by the Venus Williams energy. That was I think that was probably but still, two sides of the same coin, if you will.
Yeah.
People were out there they were riding for Francis. And Francis has been on tour for a long time though, so I think they're used to seeing him at this event and used to seeing him come home. Yeah. But that was really cool. I would say as a player,
in general, like somebody that you had not seen a lot. Sounds like Kabali was one. Who else did you see, guy or girl, that you saw that you were like, wow? I didn't realize they were that good, or I hadn't heard a lot about this player, but the more I watch, the more I like. You'll be hearing about that player soon. Give me your kind of, ready to make a breakout soon, or your don't sleep on ...
That's a good one. That's a really good one because you're making me think here because I watch a lot of tennis, right? And I have watched a lot of tennis for a lot of years. So like as far as players that surprise me, I wasn't really surprised by anyone per se.
Okay. And by surprise, let me qualify. Impressed with more than you were before. I'm not looking for somebody to knock you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm asking somebody that
Yeah.
upon further investigation, you realize how good they have gotten, or how you mentioned something about Kalinskaya's, her forehand and so on. Like, but that's a shot, right? That's not necessarily a whole game. Who's somebody that you watched that you said, wow, this person can make a move. They could be a top 10. I'm not putting words in your mouth. Tell me who impressed you significantly more than you were before going to Mubadala.
Yeah. Let's say Victoria Mboko. And okay. I mean that's a name that she's kind of hit the scene in the last, probably right before French Open is when I think people started, when she qualified and they made a run there, right. Beat some players. So she's not a nobody, but she's very young. But seeing her, from 2 rows up, getting it, like I specifically saw that match on the schedule. Like that's the match I want to see. Right. It's that one, and I want to be as close as possible. Not hard to get close. I saw her practice first, and then saw her play, and I noticed something on her forehand. It's not really a hitch, but she has one of those forehands that, like, right before she makes contact, she kind of pulls her head away. And I caught it. Yes, I caught it. And I was like, when I was watching her practice, I was like 2 courts away from her. So I couldn't really get like a zoom in. Like, why is that? What exactly am I seeing outside of that hitch? But then when I watched her play the match and I saw it, I was like, okay, now I understand where that hitch is coming from. Yeah. She gets too close to the forehand. Mm-hmm. And that hitch is like, it's her adjustment at the very last minute.
Get away from it.
Trying to get away from it. Sure. Right. And so what does that matter? Like, she hits a pretty big forehand, but it could be 20% bigger. Like it could be bigger. Right. And eventually,
I used to say the same thing about Carlos's serve, by the way. It's funny you say that. And it took an article I read about slight change to his serve. And I used to always say, I can't put my finger on it, but something about that serve is off. This is, 3 or 4 years ago when he first seen. And sure enough, I saw an article this year, and I was like, "That's it." I was like, I could not put my finger on why was that serve, because it happened so fast, right? Unless I've done slow mo on it and had whatever, dartfish, swing vision, whatever. I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to tell, coach's eye, whatever. I couldn't be able to see it in real time. And once I saw it, and once I saw the person, realize what the person had done him 4 years ago, his serve now, and I was like,
yeah,
it is. And to your point, you love seeing that kind of thing because they're hitting a good ball now. Can you imagine if it gets a little cleaner, a little bigger? That could be a game changer.
Right, and so like that's the kind of stuff that you notice when you get close enough. That like that she had a tough time. I mean, Rebecca is a fantastic player, right? Former Grand Slam champion, top 3 in the world, whatever. She had a tough time dictating on the forehand side because she just didn't have enough space to do it, especially with how big that ball was coming at her. Right. So like early in that match, she looked a little bit shell shocked at the pace, and I think the courts were playing a little fast. Like I saw a little sheen on them. I was like, I probably should have went out there and got my foot on the court when I had the chance. But the courts were playing a little bit fast, and Rebecca came out smoking. But the thing that impressed me the most about Victoria is like I was like thinking like, man, you need to you can't stay in this in these types of rallies with her. She will knock you off this court. Right. And at one point, she was on my side of the court. She's like, I saw her mouth like, what the hell are you doing? Hit the ball with some shape. Like Victoria said that to herself, and I was like, there you go. Right. It's good to see as a player, you're in it. Right. And it's happening. It's easy to see what's going on from the sideline, but she saw it in real time and was able to kind of turn that set around a little bit, get within, stay close to Elena for a bit before Elena pulled off on her.
Yeah.
But that seeing her get into that match and then compete with a player who's seen the highest levels and still has, is still a top player. I was very impressed with that, and considering how unfinished she is as a player.
Right.
Like, you see players on television and you assume that they are like, this is a professional tennis player.
Right.
Like, I saw the grip on the volley. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Right. You assume all of them are finished products.
But
and
she's nowhere
like most
close.
of us, they're all still works in progress. They've just gotten a lot, but they're pretty good for the state they're in, and still have a few things to polish up on. Okay, here's the next question.
Mm-hmm.
Who were you unimpressed with and wouldn't be surprised if they shut it down within the next 6 months to year or so, based off of what you saw? I'm not asking you to put anybody's
shut it down, like retire,
retire, or they'll go from 20 to outside the top 50 or and such. That's all I'm at. I'm not asking you to play fortune teller. I'm asking you to tell me whose game were you like, ooh, I hope this was an off week for them, because they did not look very good at all. Male or female?
Yeah. So I mean, just look at when they lost in the event. Like, Rublev taking that loss pretty early is not a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
All things considered, he played Carlos tough at Wimbledon, and that was, I think, in the
16,
that was like round of 16.
Yeah.
Maybe. So that was good. But then following it up with a second round loss, maybe less than healthy. Jessica.
So JPEG lost. Yeah.
Lost to Leylah Fernandez in the second or third round, maybe. That was yesterday. So that, after losing first round at Wimbledon, then she finaled U.S. Open last year, so she's got a lot of points to defend. So that's a big deal. Not to say anything about the state of her game. I saw her practice for a little bit, and she seemed fine. But Leylah's playing well right now. Also just beat Taylor Townsend in her next match. So that's now we're talking about points to defend and how that impacts your ranking. I think that's
I'm asking more eye test. I mean, I don't think JPEG's going to drop outside of the top 10 anytime soon. Could have a blip here and there. I think her game is solidly in place, and no different than will she drop a point or two here and there? For sure. But do I see her dropping outside the top 25? Probably not. Not this year, not anytime soon. Anybody that looked a little long in the tooth, anybody that looked a little bit like, ooh, I don't know what they're doing, but they need to change something pretty soon. Like, more, and if there wasn't, that's fair. That you didn't see him.
I didn't see a player who I would consider entering the long in the tooth space, simply because like Monfils would be considered long in the tooth, but he was out before I got there.
Right.
The tournament starts on Monday. I got there on Wednesday, so he was.
I think Monfils is not only is he is in a weird past long in the tooth phase. A normal Monfils would have retired. I say normal. There's no normal Monfils. A normal tour player would have shut it down 6 years ago. Monfils is still having fun out there. Monfils is the new and improved 3.0 version of Mansour Barami. He makes watching tennis fun. He is entertainment. He happens to hit the tennis ball. He's just still so good and still in such good a shape that he's still competing on the ATP tour. But make no mistake, I will pay money when he ever comes to Atlanta or goes wherever, that I will want to watch him play again, just to see what he will do with said ball. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think Monfils is he's a magician. You know what I mean? Who was the guy that used to do all the crazy tricks? Looked like he was floating on the air. Chris Angel or whatever the guy was that did all the.
Oh yeah.
He's that with the tennis ball. I mean, he just does some things that you're like, that was routine for him. He gets hit a hitch kick, both feet in the air.
Right. Yeah.
Approach shot. You know what I mean? Like, because they can. No reason for it. Anyway, so I'm not. He is permanently in a different category of long in the tooth. I mean, he should have. A player his age would have retired long ago.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
fair.
let me talk about Alex de Minaur for a second.
Talk about Alvin de Minaur, because the Demon to me is one of those players where I was hoping you'd come to that one. I didn't know. I had nothing against Alex. Tell me what you're going to say. I don't want to.
So I watched
jury.
Alex play Yuri Lehechka,
Okay.
and I left right before the third set started. I needed to go watch another match. But watching Alex de Minaur play tennis, he's in the perfect spot of his career right now, where he still has all of his physical abilities. Like, he's so fast. He's so fast. Like, he's so fast.
Right.
And I say that, I'm going to come back to that, but like, he uses, well, I'll talk about it now. He uses speed as a weapon.
Okay.
And he's able to steal points because of how fast he is.
Okay.
Now, what does that look like in a tennis match, right? Like, but he's also crafty. So I would see him, okay, for one instance, he's in a backhand rally with Yuri Lehechka, right? Mm-hmm. And at one point, Yuri opens up the racket face and goes to slice.
Okay.
Alex beelines it in and hits a not great drop volley, but it's a winner.
Sure.
A normal player.
He got in that fast.
He got in that fast,
right.
But also he knew, I'm fast enough, and as soon as he opens that racket face, I'm gone. I'm ghosting. We call it ghosting, right? Like, as soon as you open that racket face, he's taken off.
Right.
And that is how the speed works as a weapon, right? Like, if you are,
especially going north-south.
Yeah, Yuri can't pull that off. He ain't fast enough, so he hasn't put that into his repertoire to even look at that as an option to pull that move off, right? And then the other hand, Yuri missed a lot of drop volleys that he felt like he had to cut too thin because of how fast Alex is.
Right, out of respect to the speed.
Yeah, and so when you see Alex working the baseline, he has this ability to absorb power and just put it in a space. Like, try to rush him to the forehand. Like, again, his speed allows him to get there with plenty of time, and then also hit a quality ball, not an overwhelming ball, but a quality ball back deep cross court, in which you feel like you need to overhit the next ball, because how the hell did you get to that ball on balance, on time, and hit that quality of a ball back? So that's my kind of take on Alex de Minaur being able to use his speed as a weapon.
Okay. Would you care to offer any thoughts? And I hear you on that, and that's well said. Would you care to offer any thoughts on the 2 seed?
Who was seeded 2 in this event?
My main man, Lorenzo Musetti.
I didn't see him. He was out before I got there. I can only see what's there to be seen. He was not. He left before I got there. I just missed him. I just missed him.
That's all. I was hoping I would rope you into that one, but you didn't take the bait early.
I hadn't even considered it because my man was out so early that it didn't even register for me.
He wanted the CDC. He wanted to go by. He wanted to just take the early L and take the girlfriend or wife out to go see the sights. You know what I mean?
Oh my God! When did he lose? Did he lose first round?
He lost to Cam. He lost to Cam on Tuesday.
Oh, Cam's playing well, man. Cam's back. Like, Cam is back. He's healthy.
He looks good. He does.
He's back. Good. He's doing Cam things. Like, I think he's right. He's right back where he needs to be. I mean, just kind of like from that standpoint though, like, it was a fantastic experience. I cannot emphasize enough, like, for people who want to go to the U.S. Open, the U.S. Open is very attractive. It's the thing that we all know. But, like, if you can, go to a different event. Like, I think what a fan really wants
is a DC / Cincinnati experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, if you really want to, if you want it to be different than what you see on TV, you're going to need to get close to the players. And you can get as close as you want at these smaller events. Like, even Charleston. I've talked about Charleston before, and I went earlier in the spring. Like, I walked right past Jessica Buller. She's walking around the site with her dog, and, like, no one bothers her. Like, just no one bothers them. It's just at that point, it's the purest of the pure. It's just tennis. Yeah. It's just tennis. So I would so many thumbs up, so many votes for going to
Yeah.
quote unquote smaller events. The tennis is just as good. Yeah, you might not see Carlos, you might not see Iga or Sinner or Sabalenka.
Yeah.
But if you go to the U.S. Open, you're going to be so far up, you're not going to see them anyways. It's not what you want.
I would even add to that. It's kind of good to get a little break from Carlos and Yannick and get away from a little bit of Coco and Iga and Arena, because we see enough of them at some of the bigger tournaments. It's not to say that that we ever get tired of watching them, but these are the tournaments where, the 500s used to be the 250s, especially, where the tour splits them all up where they can't all be in the same spot.
Yeah.
And so it's neat to see the other players. You don't appreciate how good the others are, and you don't appreciate how, the other, the next tier, how good they are, until you go watch a tournament. And that's like this. And I agree with you. I think that's, we always, if you were to go watch a regular NBA game in a rando city, you would be impressed with a couple of players on the team. Now, you may not, that team may not be the Oklahoma City Thunder, but there are many more players that are good all over if you just watched enough. And I think golf has this. I think basketball, of course, has this. I think tennis has this, but I think we have, and I'm going to put a plug on here for bad commentating. Due to some bad commentating, we tend to be told that this player is X, Y, and Z. This player's a journeyman. This player's not really inside the top 50. And then we're not necessarily educated on the up-and-comers, the people that have some potential, people that are breaking out, where that player in golf, we know about the player that's 62 in the world in golf, who's just getting better every week and really primed to do well this week at such and such, even if doing well this week just means making the cut on the third day, right? And I think that's the difference in tennis, is we have such a zero sum, did you win or lose today?
It's did you win or lose?
It's win or go home, that we don't appreciate that every week. And that takes its toll on the players. I feel like we need to your point, go visit these tournaments, go watch, support the tournaments, but also really become a better fan. Become a fan that understands you're not going to win every week. There's only one winner at the end of every tournament, Alvin, right?
Yep.
There's no 31 people are going to go home disappointed, period. Just by the sheer fact that we start this tournament. And so when you start looking at that, you start looking at, so what improvements did they make? What momentum do they build on? And then when that all culminates into the U.S. Open, now you're really seeing more of in a sense, you're seeing 32 to give or take 40 stories of momentum and possibilities going into the Open, not just who are the seeds and what's going on. And now here the whole year is kind of culminating to the last slam. That, to your point, you want to see the tournament, the end of the year tournament, right? Beijing, I always call it Beijing, at the end of the tournament, to be worth something, right? To have something on the line.
So to that point, two players kind of going different directions right now.
Right.
They played against each other, Emma Raducanu and Naomi Osaka.
That's who I thought you were going to say.
Naomi, I am now worried that we don't have much time left with Naomi, because if you choose to believe what she said earlier in this year, like if she can't get back to contending for titles, that she's done.
Sure.
She lost to Emma on Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember what it was. So round of 16. And I also saw Naomi practice, and I'm watching her and I'm like, what it takes to be a top player now is different than what it took to be a top player 3 years ago. Wow. Like, these girls all move as well as
she did then.
Her movement used to be an out, like the thing that separated her. Now it's table stakes, right? They all move really well. Right. Her ball does not have enough variety. I've seen players get pop. It's a ball that you can get grooved on, and sure. Like Emma
she's the new Mary Jo Fernandez, so to speak. Of
okay, fair, yep.
You know what I mean?
So yeah,
I very solid player, but at the top, ball wasn't quite big enough for her era at that time to really crack that top 4, top 5.
Right, yeah. And there's a lack of variety. She's
Yeah.
not winning a ton of points off of her first serve, like easy points. Like she's just what she did still well. She's not playing poorly right now.
Right.
I think it's just normal her. It's just like she's not everyone else is kind of caught up.
Yeah.
And I felt like that match against Emma was a match she needed to win. But Emma also
needed to win,
but like Emma like probably feels like I'm better than her. I should win that match, right? And so now we have like Emma had a great showing at Wimbledon, losing in 3 sets to Sabalenka. Was it 3 sets or just
3?
Was it 2 sets?
It might have been a close 2.
I think it's close to. But then now coming off the back of that first tournament back out the chute, and she's in the quarterfinals.
We said it weeks ago.
Like
she's playing the best tennis she's played, including the Open that she won. She's playing the best tennis of her life right now.
And she beat Sakari today. And so
Sakari's playing better. Sakari
also
I was very impressed with the way Maria is playing right now. I was worried about Maria until I saw her today. I was very worried about her being kind of going the other direction. I don't know, Alvin, if Naomi will ever come back. I don't see the things she's working on. I don't see the change in her game. I don't see her making enough change to be relevant. I see her tweaking what she used to be. And I think the flaw, if that's the case, the flaw is in the battle plan. You cannot continue to fix what used to be number 1 in the world material from 5 years ago and retweak it 6 years from now and it be relevant to be number 1 in the world material. It is now top 20 in the world material compared to, as you said, to table stakes. So I feel like that's an issue, and hopefully her and her team will sort that out. But I'm very happy to see Emma. We said it weeks ago. Emma's playing better ball right now. She's playing the best tennis of her life, and it's fun to see. I think it was a tough experience for her. I feel like, and it was almost unfortunate for her to win a slam that early because it set a lot of expectation and a lot of maybe even a little serendipity more than it was hard earned, right? That she won when she did, but she's certainly playing good tennis now. I look at what she did early in some ways similar to what Boris Becker did early on when he won Wemby at 18 and 19. He was not a complete player. He just happened to win Wimbledon.
Yeah, but he was a freak though. Like when you saw him, you were like, okay, that's different. That is a different thing.
Hence the second Wimbledon. What I'm saying is that. But then for 5 more years, he wasn't even getting in the finals of big events. And then when he won the Open about 4 or 5 years later, Boris was a complete player. And I say that to say, I think Emma, and by the way, I'm giving Emma the highest of comparisons in that sense, because often, I hate when we do this, we see a similar situation, but we give them the kudos on sometimes before the kudos are truly deserved. But I think in her case, she will end up proving this to be the case. She is headed to some really, really good results. I would have no question with her. I would have no question thinking she would reach a quarter or a semi, draw dependent, of course, getting to one of those later stages in a slam with the way she's playing. So anyway,
let's even remove the qualifier of draw dependent. Like, this is what we want from our top players. Like, you are the dependent, right? If you were actually someone who's threatening for Grand Slam titles, like, yeah, they all need a little draw help, but like at some point you want to be in the top 16 seeds to where like that is an expectation for you. And now the draw help you need is like, maybe I don't land in Sabalenka's quarter, maybe I land in like a quarter that's more manageable,
for her,
without naming any names for her. Yeah, like,
sure.
And
I know what you mean.
That's what I think that's what she's moved towards. Like, kind of last thing, I saw this random stat, and then we can get out of here. Naomi Osaka, right, has won how many Grand Slams did Naomi win? I think
it was 4 or 5.
4? Is it 4? Won 4 slams, right? 2 U.S. Opens, 2 Australian Opens. She's only won 3 tournaments outside of that.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
Wow.
That's wild.
I would even go back on that same stat. I would love to see her win-loss record before her child and before her quote-unquote sabbatical. And I'd love to see the win-loss record since then, because I would have to tell you that we're still drifting. drifting is the word, drafting off of her past success. And I'm not so sure if current or recent success has been enough there to continue to play the maintenance game that I'm seeing. The fact that she's only won 3 other tour titles is concerning.
That's wild, right? Like that's when you think about, and we're gonna do this at some point. We're gonna kind of probably after the U.S. Open, just kind of talk about top ranked players, because I have this thing where like the peak of a top player is usually like 3 years, right? Regardless of when they hit it, but like it's like Naomi Osaka was not a thing, and then she beat Serena and won the U.S. Open, right? And then 4 months later won Australian Open, right? And then won the U.S. Open in 2020, and then came back and won Australian Open in 2021. I mean, so like we're talking from U.S. Open 2018 to Australian Open 2021, right? And then she kind of just went away. She went away. Like Iga, like, and that's when Ash Barty kind of took it from her. But we're talking about 3 years. She got 4 Grand Slams in 3 years, but like nothing outside of that. Did not win a tournament before that. Did not win a tournament after that. It was like 18, 21. That's it. It's not like it was 7 years. It's 3 years. So I didn't want to get into the months. It's not long. Now, granted, we lost a lot of 2020, right? But she won the U.S. Open in the empty stadium U.S. Open,
Sure.
right? So and then followed up with the Australian. So it's just it all happens so fast. Things change quickly, like quite quickly.
Don't keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Keep your head on a swivel, Alvin, because, buddy, at any given time, you could be knocked off. If somebody taps you on your shoulder, don't look. You know what I mean? keep your head completely forward, because that's when the action's coming. And I look forward to us wrapping this up again on later on. Look forward to how this all plays out with the Open. I think this year specifically is going to see about 5 or 6 of our pretty solid names that we, are gonna end up kind of bidding us adieu. And my wife's favorite word, adieu. And I just see that being the case on the women's side as well. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'll be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if Naomi just cashed in the chips and said, you know what, I'm never going to compete for one again. And I've won 4. It's not fun for me anymore to be at this point. And I'll, maybe she goes back to running her agency or whatever she's doing on the side. And, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I see her moving in that direction. And I'll be honest, I think Stefanos might be right next to her on the way out. I feel like there's things not happening there that have not happened, and I don't want to put anything on it. I was disappointed to see him split with Goran. I don't think Goran's harsh and public comments helped, but I also don't think that Tsitsipas took it well. No. If one were to take it such, right?
Exactly. The way he reacted to it just kind of like that's the problem right there. Like someone challenged you.
Yep.
Someone with whom you respect, and then your response is to go on about building a family and your team, all this nonsense that was not about tennis. And it's like, okay.
Right. Or not about accountability and what you can do to do some things better. And again, do I ever see him getting back in the top 3? I don't. Do I see him back in
10,
top 10?
20?
To my point. Do I see him get back in the top 10? I don't. Do I see his game style and the changes he's made making him a threat at a slam in the second week? I don't. And so that's my point. I feel the same way about Naomi. So, and I hate saying it and being that much of a realist. It's just what I'm looking at. I don't see some things being done to reinvent who they were. I see some things being done personally or through the team of what they used to do. And what they used to me is no longer relevant, at least right now. And Alvin, I said the micrometer, it can be a micrometer away. Knowing your pattern, having the speed, and even that changes. Even that changes as you get a little bit older, as guys start getting used to it, as players start getting a little faster. I saw, and this is the last thing I'll say, I saw Emma attack Naomi serve more Then Naomi attacked hers, and Naomi was used to be known for attackable
Right.
returns.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's out Naomi-ing Naomi.
Naomi. Yeah.
And I was like, that's what you used to do. And mind you, Naomi serve used to have a really good serve. At least from what I remember playing. She surprised Serena with a bigger serve. She wasn't serving terrible, but she wasn't getting the occasional ace a game. She wasn't getting that occasional service winner and the first strike. The reason she took Serena out was she had a serve as good as Serena's and could return. And I see her today, and she looked very, very, very mortal. And to see Emma attack her more, there was some serves where I felt like Emma served bigger than Naomi. And 5 years ago, you'd have like, what are you talking about? I mean, that's what I saw. So I say that to say, when I don't see some of those things returning, and I don't see that player doubling down on what they do well, it's hard for me to think that they're headed the right direction.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you there. I guess we should put a pin in it. We should. Yeah. You drop the mic. I'm gonna put the pin in it because we've been. Oh, right. Like, oh, damn. This is a long one. Maybe it'll be 2. Maybe it'll be 1. We'll see. We'll see when you listen to this. You will know. You will know. But yeah.
I'd like to know one thing. Sorry.
Tell me.
In the comments, fans, listeners, viewers, give us your top 5. You wouldn't be surprised bidding adieu at the end of 2025. Who are the 5 in 2025? Guys and girls, you can combo it if you want to be a little sheepish. I'm looking for 5 ladies, 5 gentlemen that are on the schneid, so to speak. There's my challenge, my question to the listeners, viewers out there. Boom, I said.
All right. We'll leave it there. All right. Best of 3. We are out.